Great British Menu continues, and the competition is the fiercest ever. In their quest to produce the ultimate food for sharing, the chefs are being put under intense pressure. It's been emotionally charged and has tested the all-seeing veteran chefs to the limit.
When you make errors at this level of cooking, you will be punished.
But things are about to get even tougher. This week it's the turn of the chefs from the Central region. Fighting for glory are Richard Bainbridge, returning to the competition and determined to win, rising star Sue Ellis, and trailblazer Akhtar Islam. And it's going to be war.
So if you're late, you're messing me up. Yeah? Yep.
Their first battle will be for the starter. Vying for top marks will be a traditional English picnic of quail, an original onion and tomato puffball with cheese fondue, and an ambitious tiffin of Indian street food. They've all got their eye on the prize, but only one will be triumphant.
I just want to go hit the blocks running.
I am completely determined to be cooking for those judges on Friday.
It's a great honour to be a part of the process this year, and it'll be an even greater honour when my food's on that final banquet.
This year's competition is all about bringing people together through food, creating fantastic platters for sharing at the People's Banquet.
That I found, personally, this brief really challenging.
I've been working on my menu for months now. I've got great food, amazing amount of theatre, and it will create a lot of interaction and talk at the table.
Judging them will be a multi-award-winning Michelin-starred chef who knows this competition inside out, having won it not just once, but twice. It's Glyn Purnell.
I'll be wrong.
He may have a great sense of humour, but his exacting standards mean he'll be all over the chefs this week.
This year I'm expecting perfection. I want fireworks, and if it doesn't happen, you're going home on Thursday.
Right, let me taste the artichoke, please. Yeah.
First up and returning to the competition this year is Richard Bainbridge, a Michelin star holder.
Need more truffle in that, huh?
Yeah.
As head chef at one of Norfolk's finest country house restaurants, Morstan Hall, he's no stranger to creating spectacular menus.
Right, service please, let's go.
I think my menu will stand out amongst the other guys is because there's a little piece of me on every single dish, and that to me gives me the upper hand because it's personal.
Richard was sent home first in his heat last year, so is determined to go all the way this time with his quirky take on British classics.
So what are we cooking then? What's our starter?
Today I'm doing a picnic of quail, good Norfolk quails. I'm going to do a little quail salad, then I'm doing a Scotch egg, and then just a little dandelion salad for a little bit of bitterness.
Okay.
And then a little Norfolk nod as well, a little cheese scone.
So how are you going to present it to give the wow factor or the sharing factor of it?
Well, I spent ages trying to figure out how I could serve it, whether I serve it in a big wicker basket or whether I do it in a small individual ones.
Yep.
And I've gone for small, and they're all going to be in the middle of the table. The talking point then starts going, oh, what's in the basket? And this is what this whole brief is all about. It's meant to be fun, good food that people can talk about and just get to know each other and have a giggle.
So Richard thinks his picnic nails the brief, but will it measure up to Glyn's expectations?
Is it just a random selection of bits put into a box? Is it style over substance? He's got to prove that that dish is good enough to represent the Central region.
The second competitor is Sue Ellis, a rising star who's making a name for herself serving classics with a contemporary twist. Having worked in some of the world's best restaurants, training under Michelin-starred chefs, Sue now heads up the kitchen at Bell House in Pershore.
I've incorporated my personal memories from when I was young, how I was brought up. There's certain dishes that are really dear to me, and that's the reason why I've put them on, hoping to key into something nostalgic. My starter today, I'm going to do cheese fondue with a puffball with tomato and onion.
So, puffball.
Yeah, so it's a big bread ball, completely hollow, very, very thin, and then inside will be lots of little puffballs done in the same method, but they then become the bread, and that's what you're going to be dipping into the fondue.
Obviously, it's for sharing and stuff, so then we put it into the centre, and we all just sort of dive
That's it, dive in, it's there, the forks are there, it's ready to go, your big puffball's there, you all interact.
But why do you think it's right for the People's Banquet?
It's what it's all about, puffball, what's that in there, cracking that, it's got the wow factor, it just works.
Sue thinks her starter will be fun and force people to interact, but can she pull it off?
Sue's dish, I've never seen or heard of anything like this before, so it's certainly a risk. But I think if you want to progress into a competition of this standard, I think risks need to be taken, but actually taking the risk too far.
Last up is Birmingham-born Akhtar Islam. Over the past 8 years, he's earned a formidable reputation as one of the city's top culinary talents, despite being largely self-taught.
Okay, again, straight main. Alapi fish, beef dalcha, pilau rice, 1 naan bread.
He serves up his innovative take on authentic Indian cuisine at his award-winning restaurant, Lasan.
My aim for this competition is really to get food from my heritage onto the People's Banquet.
So, what are we cooking today?
What we're doing today, we're doing an amazing selection of street food from across India. Hell of a lot going on. Lots of interesting things like this courgette flour here. We're going to stuff that with a lovely creamy paneer, which is going to be spiced up. Then we've got this lovely chicken, which we're going to marinate up with a Rajasthani style marinade. And then, you know, we've got loads of little chutneys going on as well. So,
and you think this dish has got the wow factor to win?
Yeah, I think it's definitely got the wow factor. I mean, there's so many elements to it, but every element will create conversation, every element will create interaction. The way I've looked at it, I mean, the People's Banquet, it's like how we have family get-togethers and all the, you know, the family celebrations we have. We've got nothing small with Asian communities, you know that. You know what I mean?
I know, you're confident?
Very confident. You know me.
Akhtar's ambitious starter means making 6 different Indian street snacks and 5 chutneys. And it has Glyn worried.
Akhtar's given himself a hell of a lot to do. His back is right up against the wall, but is he going to get to the pass? I mean, that's my one concern.
In the kitchen, the 3 chefs are sizing each other up. Glyn will be watching their every move, making sure they've paid close attention to this year's brief.
There's no practice run. This is it. You judge from day 1 to Thursday, and you could be going home. Hit the ground running and get on with it.
As Richard starts making his cheese scones, he wants to sound out the competition.
So how do you guys feel about being here? Are you nervous?
Any of us that say we're not nervous, I think you're lying.
Richard obviously been here last year. Has that in any way given you more confidence, or are you a bit more nervous because of, you know, how it feels to go home on Thursday?
This year, I'm going to do everything I can not to go home on Thursday, I tell you. Even if I have to start hiding some of them spices you seem to have 100,000 of them at the side there.
Akhtar, with so much to do, has already spotted that Richard's starter isn't exactly making him break into a sweat.
I think his starter's pretty safe. I mean, it's quail done in various ways. Do I see it as a threat? Not really.
Richard was sent home first last year, as Glyn felt his food was too gimmicky. So has he gone too far the other way this time?
My picnic quail. It's the easiest one out of the week. I'm not saying it's the best dish here, but I am actually.
But it's Glyn who'll decide which starter wins.
Again, I'm Richard.
This is the nicest, easiest one of the week.
You're not taking it too easy, are you?
No, not at all. I'm taking it very seriously and it's hardcore, but it's a simple, light, summery starter. This year, I'm in it to win it.
I just hope he isn't taking it too easy. I hope he isn't just cruising just to get out a simple dish, so I am concerned about that.
Richard is determined to stick religiously to the brief for the People's Banquet, and for inspiration he looked back to his childhood in Norwich in Norfolk.
This year's Great British Menu is really striking a chord with me because it's about community, it's about sharing, and growing up in a single parent family where we needed our community, we needed people to come over and help with the gardening or help with babysitting. That was what I know of community, and I'm proud of that fact.
Richard is still close to his mum Jill and often drops in for a chat and a trip down memory lane.
Hi,
nice
Mum.
to see you.
He discovered as a child how food could draw people together.
Can you remember what we used to serve when everybody used to come over?
With lots of shepherd's pies and lasagnas and pastas and
quiches and stuff.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
And I'll never forget your cottage pies, Mum. Like a classic in the street.
Can you remember any opportunity you'd always try and get in the kitchen? Your flapjacks with, was it peas and onions in them? And you were trying to be very creative with these flapjacks.
See, I still am, you see. Flapjacks with peas and onions could be something. I like that. Right, let's go. Let me taste the touvet, let me taste the sauce, yeah?
These days, Richard has free rein to experiment in his own kitchen, But will his ideas be enough to triumph over his rivals this time round?
When I found out about the chefs who I'm coming up against this year, they excited me. You know, I'm interested to see what food they're going to come up with and their style of food that they're going to do. But I'm quietly confident in myself, and I'm more proud of my dishes than I think any other dishes that I've ever come up with in my life.
Back in the kitchen, newcomer Sue is making her ambitious puffball bread.
I'm nervous about my puffball today. It's either going to work or it won't. It's just one of those things. And if that doesn't work, then I have to start weighing it out and trying to do it again within the time. So I'm nervous about that.
The bread shell should take just 4 minutes to cook, but her first attempt is a disaster.
Yeah, I'll do one more.
So Sue quickly gets on with version 2. This turn of events hasn't escaped rival Richard's eagle eye.
Difficult, isn't it, when you're at home and you come up with the menus and then you're actually here going, actually, how am I going to get that done?
Yeah.
With execution being one of Glyn's main judging criteria, he's got real doubts about whether Sue can make this dish work.
So you've tried one, is this the...
Yeah, so this is puffed up one side and needs to be puffed up the other. So it's just...
You want it to be like that?
Both sides, yeah, exactly.
Is it going to be a problem, because we're talking about a different kitchen as well for the banquet, so is this going to be a problem? It's going to flare up?
The thing is if this now, there's ways to rectify it.
But it doesn't seem to be Sue's day. Disaster has struck again, and her second puffball has also failed to rise properly. If she doesn't get this right, she'll be out of the game.
Sue's puffball's pretty concerning, really, to be honest with you. I just hope we get to taste something, because you know, you get this opportunity to cook, to compete for the central region, to get into the final, and as she chose the wrong dish.
Sue believes she's got what it takes to go all the way. She's convinced her strategy of serving classics with a twist will give her the edge. Born and raised in the idyllic village of Pershore in Worcestershire, she has fond childhood memories of family get-togethers enjoying the food they grew themselves.
Sharing food to me is quite important. I come from quite a close-knit family, and it was always a case of, you know, food in the middle of the table, everyone helping themselves, and we pretty much grew all the fruit and veg that we would eat then throughout the year. So I was really lucky, and as that was the norm for me, and I think I learned a lot from an early age.
Her upbringing may have been carefree and relaxed, but things are very different nowadays.
I'm competitive in anything I do, in work, out of work, personal life, everything.
Having worked in a string of top restaurants and picked up a clutch of awards along the way, Sue's now returned to her hometown, and she's ready to give her rivals a run for their money.
I think that the other guys that are in the competition are going to have to pull out all the stops, but I'm just going to go all out, and I'm determined to win.
Back in the cook-off, Richard turns his attention to Akhtar, who's busy making his harabara tiki, a spiced spinach and pea cake, just one of 6 complex street food snacks he's hoping to serve.
Do you think you're going to get done in time?
I hope so. With this, spicing has got to be right, because obviously you want to get it sharp enough. It needs a bit of heat. You don't want to get too much heat in it. I'm definitely in the zone. Yes, you know, I have got a hell of a lot going on, and I've got a lot to get through, but I'm plodding along as quick as possible, and making sure we're not cutting any corners anywhere.
With his relatively simple picnic to prepare, Richard has time to pile even more pressure on Akhtar.
You know, when we've got to start dressing up, that's a completely different pressure than you'll ever have at work. You know, work, you can deal with that. You have your chefs around you, you have your own kitchen, you know exactly what's going on. Now, none of those rules apply anymore.
Yeah, I am feeling a bit lonely without my minions.
That's because you have about 100 of them. I'm not sure if he's out of his comfort zone, being on his own, trying to get all that done, because I know where he works, he has a lot of chefs and they do a lot for him, so it'd be interesting to see how the executive gets on doing it for himself.
Akhtar grew up in Birmingham and has lived and breathed cooking since childhood. His Bangladeshi parents ran an Indian restaurant, and Akhtar spent his youth helping out in the kitchen before opening his own restaurant at the tender age of 22, which has won countless awards.
I think I am one of the new generation of Indian